right, so you ready to get into it? All right, we're going to talk about hope tonight. So we're going to start in Luke chapter 9, verses 18 through 29. And it happened that while he was praying alone, the disciples were with him, and he questioned them, this is Jesus, saying, "Who do the people say that I am?" They answered and said, "John the Baptist, and others say Elijah, but others that one of the prophets of the old has risen again." And he said to them, "But who do you say that I am?" And Peter answered and said, "The Christ of God." But he warned them and instructed them not to tell anyone, saying, "The Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected by the elders and chief priests and scribes and be killed and raised up on the third day." It's kind of a random conversation if you think about it. So the disciples are with Jesus, and he says, "Hey, who's everybody saying that I am?" And they're like, "Oh, they say this, they say that." And then he says, "But who do you say that I am?" And then Peter answers on behalf of them and says, "You're the Messiah, you're the Christ, you're God." So they establish that Jesus is God. And then Jesus says, "Oh, by the way, I'm going to be rejected and killed, but then 3 days later I'll come back to life." Can you imagine what the disciples were thinking when he said that? Like, I'd be like, "What are you talking about? That's so random. Like, you're obviously God. Why does that have to happen?" Right? And I wonder, like, if they thought he was, like, I don't know, speaking theoretically, or like, because if you think about it, they had been with him through his entire ministry. They saw him walk on water. They saw him raise the dead. They saw him feed people. They saw him heal the sick. They saw all his teachings. They saw him do all of these amazing things. And I'm sure they were thinking, like, this guy is awesome. Like, he obviously is God. He can do anything. Like, it probably looked like nobody could touch him, right? And so for him to say, "Oh, by the way, I'm going to die," it was probably like, I don't know, what are you talking about, right? But fast forward in the story, and he does get arrested, and then he does get falsely accused, and then he gets beaten and mocked, and then he gets forced to carry his cross to where he's going to die, and then he is crucified. And can you imagine what the disciples probably felt when that was happening? They were probably thinking, "I gave my whole life to follow this guy. I put everything into this. I believe he's God. What is happening?" It probably felt like a really hopeless situation. Can you imagine, like, honestly, can you imagine what that would have felt like? Like, they literally gave everything. They gave up everything they had before to follow him. And then he died on a cross. And we know the end of the story. He did come back to life 3 days later. And that's a really happy ending, right? And we're probably going to talk a lot about that on Sunday, for Easter. They're like, "Okay, he is God. He raised from the dead. He is God. This is wonderful." And then their lives were completely sold out for him after that, right? It's quite a roller coaster following Jesus, isn't it? Because for us, it can be a lot like that too, where it's like, yes, this is great and wonderful and amazing. And then we have those low days where it's like, what the heck is happening? And what are you doing? And where are you? And all this stuff. And this isn't playing out the way I expected it to. Jesus, you're not doing what I would expect you to, right? And then we have the happy times too. And so I had a dream a few weeks ago. How many people here like their Sunday afternoon nap? I'm a Sunday afternoon napper. It's pretty much a guarantee that after church on Sunday, I'm going to take a nap. It's the best time of the week to nap. And so I was going to take my Sunday afternoon nap, and I started to have this dream, and it was Jesus carrying the cross, and it was really, really vivid. Sorry, my mouth is really dry. So it was really, really vivid. And I was in the crowd, and Jesus was carrying the cross, and I was watching him, and he was completely beaten. He was really weak. He was like stumbling up the road, and people were treating him terribly. And in this dream, I was just like devastated. Like, what is happening? Like, this is not okay. This shouldn't be happening. Why are you letting this happen? And it was a really hopeless feeling in the stream, as I was just watching him like stumble up the road to where he was going to die. And I remember thinking in the dream, okay, I know the next part of the story is he dies on the cross, but then the next part, he comes back to life. So we're headed in that direction, right? And so like I'm, in this dream just watching him carry his cross, and it never got to the next part. I was stuck in the part where he was carrying the cross, and I was feeling really, really hopeless in this dream. And then I woke up, and I was like, that was really weird. So I asked the Lord, what was up with that? Like, why did I dream that? And I felt like he said that there's a lot of us here that we love Jesus, we're following Jesus. We know that the end of the story is a really happy ending, but we've had things happen in our life that have caused us to feel hopeless, or maybe confused about why things didn't play out the way we thought that they should, or maybe Jesus didn't do what we expected him to do. And then because of that, we've almost been like stuck in this place of hopelessness in certain situations in our lives. And it's hard to get to the other side, because it's almost like when you've been let down, or you feel like you've been let down, and you feel like there's just this hopelessness in you, it can almost be scarier to hope. It can almost be scarier to let yourself want to hope. And so it feels safer to stay in that place of hopelessness. But the truth is, we don't want to stay there, because as Christians, that's not where we're supposed to stay, right? We're supposed to be in that place of hope, and, where Jesus resurrected from the dead, and we know who he is, and we have our hope in him. But I think sometimes we tend to stay in this place of like, I feel scared to even go there. And so about a year ago, Jesus showed me an area in my life where I was really struggling with this. And we've been on this journey since then. And I'm still on the journey. But I just wanted to share it with you. And I think people in this room are going to relate to what I'm going to say. And then maybe there's some people that have completely different situations in your life, and that's totally fine too. I just want us to allow the Holy Spirit to show us whatever he wants to show us tonight, to bring up anything he might want to bring up. Just allow your heart to go wherever he wants it to go. Are you willing to do that? Okay, so for me, 7 years ago, little Evelyn Wallace got sick with cancer. If anybody doesn't know, she was Louie and Nicole's little girl. And that, like, when that happened, I just remember it was like, that doesn't make sense. Like, that doesn't add up to me. And then shortly after that, Jordy Mumby got sick with cancer. And if you don't know who he was a pastor here at the church. And again, it was just like, what is happening? Like, this really doesn't make sense to me. But okay, like, let's go, And so, like, I'm sure you guys remember, but we were praying for them and like really fighting for them, and just, asking Jesus to really just heal them, and for it to just be okay, right? Our version of okay. And so, at the end of the day, at the end of the story, they both ended up meeting Jesus, which is really awesome for them, but really sad for us. And what it did to me, I didn't realize it at the time, but it brought up a lot of fear in me in the area of healing and sickness and things like that. And it also brought up questions like, why would this happen? And I don't understand why this happened, and things like that. But I didn't want to address it at the time. And so I put it in this nice little box and just put it over there. And it's like, cool, Jesus, we can talk about anything but that. We can talk about literally anything, but I don't want to go there, And it wasn't a fully conscious thing. It's just what I did, right? It just kind of went over there. But what I didn't realize was happening was, because I did that, I was holding Jesus right here. Because the truth is, if there's an area in your life where you don't trust somebody, it doesn't just stay in that area. It tends to bleed into other areas. And so what happened was, about a year ago, I realized that, like, when we would go into like worship or like an intimate moment, I would really struggle to connect with Jesus. And I was like, man, like I'd get distracted, or like, it was a struggle to connect. And I noticed it was going on for a while. And then I finally was like, what is going on? Like, why am I not able to connect here? And he showed me that I had that box over there with this thing I didn't want to touch. And he was like, can we go there, or do you want to just stay here, because this is close, but it's not close enough when it comes to having a relationship with Jesus. And so, I was like, okay, I guess we can go there, but it wasn't something where it was just like, okay, today we're going to deal with this and then we're good. It's very much been a journey of, okay, like, today I remember something that happened, or, a feeling came up like related to that situation, and it really just triggered this fear in me, or, something like that. And it's like, rather than pushing Jesus away in those moments, it's allowing him to come close and allowing him to bring his comfort and allowing him to bring his peace. And that can feel very vulnerable. But what I have found over the past year is that's exactly what we need in order to have hope again. Because I don't want to feel hopeless when it comes to that topic for the rest of my life. Like that's not what I'm called to as a Christian. I'm not called to feel hopeless about that. And so like I've just like over this year, it's just like, okay, Jesus, like today I'm struggling with this, but rather than feeling like frustrated or angry or sad or whatever, I'm just going to invite you into this and let you speak your truth in me and let you close. And he's been able to heal my heart in doing that. That's my baby. Yeah, he's cute. And I really feel like there's been a lot of stuff in this room where we've felt disappointed. And if you're willing, he wants to come close. We aren't always going to get the answers that we want. Okay. Sometimes we will get answers, and sometimes we're not going to get the answer on this side of heaven. I don't know why people get sick and people die. I don't. I don't know if I'll even know that before I meet Jesus. But I do know that I want to be able to move forward in this and have hope. A few months ago, I had a friend that I love very, very, very dearly call me and let me know that she got diagnosed with cancer, and she was told that she might not ever be able to have kids. And I could feel as soon as she told me that cloud of hopelessness trying to come back. And it was just like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to let that hopelessness come back, and I'm not going to walk that out like that this time. I'm going to choose to trust Jesus and have hope and believe what he says and let him close. And when I'm having a hard day, let him close and be in that, and just do this with him. That's all that he asks, is that we do this with him. It's not always going to make sense. Our situations won't always make sense. And sometimes it's not going to play out the way we think even what Jesus should do. Like I'm sure the disciples did not think Jesus should be carrying a cross to die. It didn't make sense. But now on the other side of it, we know that there's a happy ending. And we're so thankful that he carried that cross and he did that. Aren't we? Yes. And so, no, we might not have all the answers right now, but there's going to be a day where we are face to face with Jesus, and it's not going to matter because we're going to have peace, and everything's going to be okay. We're going to live a happy life with Jesus. And it's like, that's what I want to keep my eyes on. I want to keep my eyes on the hope that he has for us. Because otherwise we just stay in this place of fear and hopelessness, and it's just yucky. It's a happy ending. So I want you guys to close your eyes, and if I could get the pianist to come up. And if anything has come to mind for you today, first find out if you're even willing to go there with Jesus today. Think about it. Are you willing to be a little bit vulnerable with him? Are you willing to at least open that box and show him what you've been so afraid to show him? Things that have been holding you back. The things that have made you feel hopeless. It's okay to feel sad about those things. I guarantee the disciples were very sad when Jesus went through what he went through. So if you're willing to go there with him, I want you to picture in your mind Jesus carrying the cross. But I want you to picture the cross as whatever that thing is that you've been so afraid to give him. Picture him walking the path to where he's going to be crucified. And you're in the crowd. But we're not going to stay here. Next, I want you to picture him on the cross. and know that He did that so that you could have freedom, so that your hope could be restored. And now picture Him off of the cross. He's come back to life. And this is where I want you to have your moment with Him. Allow Him to see your pain. Allow Him to see your vulnerability, the things that you've been thinking and feeling. I really believe He wants to bring His comfort tonight. He was with you when those things happened. Maybe you're currently in a storm and He wants you to know that He's with you. Allow Him to speak truth to your heart. Allow Him to show you where He was in those moments. Allow Him to restore your hope. Yeah, Holy Spirit, bring your peace. I'm going to open the altars if you want to come up. If you want to stay in your chair, you totally can too. But I just don't cut this moment with Jesus short. So if you're in the middle of something with Him, keep going.
Thanks for watching the Father's House Orville YouTube channel, but don't stop there. We'd love you to subscribe to our channel so that you never miss a live service or a video. Help us spread the message of Jesus by sharing this video with your friends. You can also support the Father's House financially by clicking the Give button. Thanks again for watching today, and we hope to see you again soon.